Cheat on me? I'm the best wife ever. Warning, some audiences may find this content disturbing. View at your own discretion. Welcome to the House of Reddit. Today, we share some of the recent r/ProRevenge stories posted on Reddit. Cheat on me? I'm the best wife ever. Harry and I had been together for 3 years. He had 2 kids and as a result we didn't want to rush moving in together. For the 3 months prior, almost every week on the days when Harry had his kids he would have to work late and asked me to look after his kids for him. I'd pick them up from after school care, make them dinner, get them ready for bed, etc. There had also been a few times he had been offered an overnight shift, healthcare, and I had babysat then too and taken them to school the next morning. I was happy to help as he seemed to need the extra cash and had borrowed $1 from me. Anyway, I was dutifully watching a kids movie when my friend messaged me that she had seen him in a club kissing a woman. I said she must have been mistaken because he was at work, but she sent me some pics and sure enough it was him. I was livid but had to keep it inside for the kids' sake. I put them to bed as early as possible and tried to stay calm waiting for him to come back. Then the message came that he had to work overnight. I tried calling him, no answer, and after a few tries straight to voicemail. He had turned his phone off. This was the point where I lost it, but I couldn't leave or vent because of the kids. I'm not proud of what I did. I went slowly though each room trying to create as much unnoticeable chaos as possible. I removed the most useful screwdriver from his toolbox, broke all the filaments in his spare bulbs, swapped the washing and dishwasher powder for a mixture of flour, sugar and whatever else I could find. I filed one of his professional certificates, required for audits, in a folder he wouldn't look in. I put jam underneath the soles of his hiking boots, started unpicking the buttons on a few of his shirts, same with the flies on his favorite pairs of pants. I changed his Wi-Fi and router passwords. I guess you get the idea. My final act at 6 a.m. just before I had to wake the kids up and act like everything was fine was to disable the chip in his passport and slightly deface it so it might look like it was forged. I guess COVID has made that redundant. Anyway, I left things a few days and avoided too much contact. Then I messaged him saying I didn't feel I was really invested in the relationship anymore and I was sorry and hoped he had a nice life. He tried calling numerous times. I blocked him everywhere and haven't heard from him since. A lifetime of revenge and sickness. Growing up, taking care of the house was my responsibility, from the age of 4 until I left. My dad worked 2 jobs and was exhausted, while my mother was just a fat lazy bitch. Literally any time my dad went off on her for not doing what she was supposed to be doing around the house, she verbally and physically abused me behind closed doors, blaming me for having not done them for her. The stress left me sick quite often, and I got sick pretty much every other month by the time I moved out the first time. Colds, strep throat, bronchitis, etc. Yet even after a visit to the doctor's office to get antibiotics, it was still my responsibility to cook and clean for her. So my lifelong petty revenge was to spit in her food. I learned early on that snot rockets were hard to break down outside a creamy dish, so it was usually just plain spit. I didn't mind dropping her food on the floor, which was a pretty gross floor given cleaning had been my responsibility since I was 4, when I had to bring her plate. Sometimes I'd drool onto her plate. And she was never the wiser. But she could never understand why she always got sick so fast, why it spread through the family so quickly. Sometime after I moved out, we got in an argument about my treatment growing up. She always says she did most of the work, that I never had to do anything around the house until middle school. Hell, I was tall as fuck, she might actually believe that, and that I was a liar. I'm like, what about the dozens upon dozens of times I remember cooking for you with strep throat? She laughed in my face and said to me with a cocky smile that never happened. Since she thought I couldn't prove it, so I say, so you never wondered why it spread so fast when I got sick? I spit in your food for fucking 12 years, woman. She sputtered for a few moments, turning white as she realizes. It felt so goddamn good when I left that day. I should add, she always wanted to blame my immune system problems on my brief stay in foster care when I moved out. I went from getting sick maybe 6 to 8 times a year to getting sick only twice in a period of 3 years. My immune system is fine. And to answer some of the questions from the original post, my dad turned out to be entirely unaware of how I was treated while he wasn't around. Literally, I watched the man weep in court when he heard all the things my mother had done to me. He just wasn't home, wasn't there, and now tries so much harder to be a part of my life. I recently had to move back with them, and he's taking absolutely none of my mother's shit, and made it clear I don't have to do a goddamn thing, especially not for her. I should also add she was charged with neglect, failure to protect, and failure to supervise. She is not allowed to even hold a child, let alone be near one. No one trusts her, and no one wants to be around her. All in all, a victory. My little piece of revenge cost my company $10,000. The year was 2020. So I have worked for my grocery store for over 6 years. And in that time I have not been promoted. I work as part-time and I do more than my coworkers for the same pay, minimum wage. My store went into a remodel, and throughout the chaos I rose out as the only survivor of my department to have maintained, cleaned up, and install all new protocols into my section. I was the first and the only one to get it right without the help of my managers. I was in fact better than my managers at my section. So later on I got a call to the head boss's office. I thought, yes, this is my big break. I can finally be promoted. To make it short, I was told, good job, now you are being removed from your section and being placed in another. I asked why, and then they told me that they planned to put a slower person in my section since it was already operational and I would go to his section to fix it and make it work. We then stared at each other. He said that is all. So I asked, okay, do I at least get a promotion or a raise? He was offended and I was offended, so we argued for 20 minutes. I did not get the raise and I was ordered to do the additional work. So naturally I began to apply for different job. Oh, but it only gets better. You see, as the managers were moving me away, they were in charge of the orders of food. Before my manager could start, I took back what was mine. This was my small piece of revenge. I took my notes and scan pads that I created to make food inventory easier. I destroyed them and threw them away in our store's compactor. So then my manager had to order the food the old way, walking up to each item one by one. But there's a new process to order food now. You scan an item and then you put the number you see. For example, is C10 on the shelf, so I put 10 in the computer. The shelf fits 15, so it will order one case of 10. To fill the floor, and the rest are black stock. Simple. This is the new system. But as the manager was scanning the items, he was placing 0 on all the items he scanned. He believed that by placing 0 it would not order anything, as he believed he was requesting 0. The way the old system worked, he asked me if he was doing it right. I responded with, well, you're the manager, you tell me. I got sent home early to work on my insubordination. When I returned 2 days later, I called out the next day. A record 20 pallets of food showed up. Our store can only hold 12 pallets max. I was overjoyed. Over the following week, manpower, hours, were wasted trying to make the food fit on the sales floor. Food was thrown away due to out-of-temp exposure, and trucks of food were sent back, causing the store multiple buyback charges and fees, totaling over a $10,000 loss. I know this because I was blamed for this and fired for it, as my name was still on the department. No, I can't sue them. I tried. Either way, I had a new job in a week. And I heard my managers has been fired for not being able to manage their locations. If you enjoy this video, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you have any suggestions for future videos, please let us know in the comments below. Turn on the notifications to know when we post new videos. Thank you for coming to the House of Reddit.